I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, October the 28th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight and shooting telithromycin injection that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line with no BS. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, right on I-44 there, guys. They're expecting a huge run this Monday, maybe 10,000 head. But the way that they get these bigger runs, it comes when the market's coming, because they help their producers with their marketing. And you know, Jackie and the boys, they got tons of orders there. They know what they can handle. You know, they're not afraid to put some on one of their numbers if they have to. They know what the other buyers are going to need. They feel this market coming around. They feel like the market's right and time to bring in a lot of cattle. It's been kind of holding off here for a little bit. So they're going to have a huge run here on Monday. And they've got a jillion producers out there and customers that just have cattle in the wings waiting to bring them in. So that'll be a big run there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. They'll be well tested in every single weight group. Invincible fundamentals. And I tell you what, this market is so impressive right in the face of the fall run. And I apologized to you guys because I felt like that the fall was going to hurt the market more than it did. It did initially. It laid the market back on its heels for just a little bit, but these fundamentals are coming around, which is what makes me so excited about the market. It's not anything technical or anything like that, and your cash markets are pulling the futures market along, and you know, it's just it's kind of an honest higher market. You know, fat's $2 to $4 higher this time of year. And you know, your feedlots knew that fats were going to be higher on Monday, a week ago Monday. I was talking to a friend of mine that sells the few cash fat cattle that they sell in Texas. He's got cattle down there in Texas, and I talked to him last Monday, and he goes, "I think we're going to get 190." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" They knew it. So the Packers were talking to them and being honest with them. They knew that we were going to have a higher market. I was surprised at that. You never see that when, you know, whenever we've had a higher market for 6 weeks, and now we've had it for 7, because you know your Packers are always on the defensive, trying to push things down, and they had tipped their hand and let cattle feeders know that the market was going to be higher this past week, and so that's also impressive. But we are extending the cycle. The main reason that I thought the fall was going to pressure the market more than it normally does is because, go back in history, in the fours, the years that end in the fours, we always have a great market, and we did, and we're in the 24s. But soon after that, we always see it fall off. We saw that in 2014 and 2015, but now we're ending 2014 and we're on the rise again. I think we're extending this cycle, and we're going to go against the grain on things. We've just got a lot of other elements that have affected this market, and especially our fundamentals. We have had several serious droughts, and we are in one right now in the entire plains. It is dry as a bone, and I tell you what, but the heck of it is, we had such a good spring and such a good early summer. We've still got you know, a lot of forage out there, or you know, roughage to eat, in hay and things like that. We've got a ton of silage put up. The grain is cheap. You've got cheap feed, and so people are going to be really wanting to feed those cattle. We've got farmer feeders coming into the market aggressively. And when we see that, and then also we've got an industry that will take these cattle to these extreme weights. Well, once we get cheap feed, and then you can make an initial investment in a feeder animal and then take him to those extreme weights. When you're a farmer feeder and you're doing that really cheap, you can just keep cheapening that steer or heifer back up. And so that is making them aggressive on these cattle. And I'm going to give you some prices here in farmer feeder country you're not going to believe on some feeders, both feeding calves and yearling feeders. But we are you know, really aggressively coming into the late fall here and towards the end of the year. We've got holiday buying on our wholesale beef market. You know, we saw our box beef cutouts under so much pressure there for so long, but now here for about 4 weeks, we've seen them coming up, and it's because you know, their buyers are buying beef for the holiday market, and when holidays come around, people go out to eat more. They buy the more expensive cuts more. They're buying prime ribs to feed their family, not just on Christmas, but also Thanksgiving. People are getting tired of eating turkey for Thanksgiving. A lot of people are making it kind of a ritual that they have a big prime rib, or maybe even a brisket or something like that. But I tell you what, we're in the driver's seat here on the cattle end of this market right now. And then we had a cattle on feed report come out on Friday that we were a little bit nervous about. It came in, if you wanted to get real nitpicky, you could say that it was on touch on the bearish side, but I don't think we're going to miss a beat anywhere. I think we're just going to keep going right on. But it come out on Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central. Your inventories for October the 1st come in at exactly 100%. Exactly the same as the same report a year ago. And we're keeping these cattle longer. We're taking them to bigger and heavier weights. So cattle are going to be on feed longer. So you would have thought that maybe we could have been much higher than that, even though we got fewer cattle. But your guesses were 99.7. That's plenty close enough. Now your placements during September were higher than what they had guessed. They come in at 98.1%. Your average guess was 95.8. But still, we see all this new demand from these farmer feeders that had nothing but weeds running in their lots here, and then some of them for the last few years. So I think there's plenty of demand there to be continuing to place cattle on feed. And then your marketings in September come out very, very close to guesses at 102, and your guesses were 102.2. But I thought it was kind of interesting. You see that the Southern Plains has closed the gap on the price. There's no longer a premium for those higher quality grading cattle in the Northern Plains and in the Midwest. That they're bringing exactly the same now. Why? Well, Kansas inventories of cattle on feed are 5% less than they were a year ago. Texas inventories are down 1% from a year ago, but Nebraska and Iowa are both up 2% compared to a year ago. So you kind of see how that works there. We're in the final week of freedom. Starting November the 5th, you're going to have all your intact breeding stock over 18 months mandatory EID tagged if you want to market those or move them out of state. So I still think we got something coming. I think there's going to be a ferry come along and file a lawsuit on that, and quite possibly could put an injunction on that. We'll see. I mean, we're in a crazy time of the year. We have got this election coming up. Please go out and vote. Please go out and vote, unless you're nuts and you're voting for Kamala Harris, and you can stay home. But please get out and vote. If you're a Trump supporter, go and find somebody that's older, that has trouble getting around, has trouble getting to the polls. We have got to get this done. We are completely sunk if we elect someone that's completely overblown and a sponsor of the Green New Deal, which is going to be terrible for the cattle industry, who thinks that it's a good idea to put red meat restrictions on people. This is huge, guys. We've got to vote the right side here. I'm feeling better about things. I know a lot of you guys are too, but we've got to finish it. We've got to finish and get out there and vote. Take somebody with you and make sure that you get that done. Let's talk about your board for last week. October live cattle futures. Monday was down 62 cents. Tuesday back up $1.05. Wednesday down 42. Thursday up 167, and Friday up 40 cents. October live cattle futures contracts ended the week at 189.70, very close to what our weighted average is going to be, very close to that 190, and then that was up 208 on your October futures for the week. December live cattle ended the week at 189.15, and that was up 183. October feeder cattle, Monday was down 75 cents. Tuesday was up $1.85. Wednesday down 85. Thursday up 82, and Friday up 22 cents, with October feeder cattle ending the week at 249.62, which was $1.30 higher. November ended the week at 248.57. That was up 97 cents. So we had a great week, and the board's been very accommodating here through the last month and a half or so of this rally right in the face of the fall run, because it doesn't know what else to do, and it's just carrying right along with it. Tell you what, your grains, December corn ended the week at 415 and a quarter. That was up 10.5 cents a bushel. It just keeps wobbling right around there, just over the $4 a bushel range. But guys, that's still pretty cheap feed right there. How about beans for November? 987 and 3/4. That was up 17 and 3/4 cents a bushel. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December was down 8 and 3/4 cents at 572. Talk about your fat cattle trade, brought to you by Legacy Beef Cooperative. Look into that deal, guys. Could be a good plan for the future. But negotiated fat cattle sales in your 5-area feeding region this past week up through Thursday totaled 76,600. That's a big movement. The market was up, the movement was bigger. A lot of people that don't really like negotiated trade, or they don't see the importance of it, they'll tell you it doesn't make any difference. No, when the market's up, you see more negotiated trade, naturally. 76,600 compared to 51,300 the previous week, only 48,700 the same week a year ago. Up through Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we saw live prices in your 5-area feeding region negotiated from 186.5 to 192, with a weighted average on live steers of 190.06, which was $2.53 higher. I know our Southern Plains market was $2 higher, but the Northern Plains gained a little more ground and $2.53 higher. Dressed trade and negotiated in your 5-area ranged from 298 to 302. Weighted average on dressed steers was 298.88 up through Thursday afternoon. That was 260 higher. Now on Friday we had a little bit more trade. It was on the high end of your ranges there. Shouldn't change anything. If it does change anything, it might make it a little bit higher yet on your weighted averages. But this is going to make your base prices on your formulas higher. Packers are going to be paying a lot more for cattle. But like I said, people knew this was going to happen, so they were ready for it. Iowa on Friday sold another 1,500. They sold over 40,600 for the week. Live prices in Iowa on Friday, 189 to 190. Dress price from $2.98 to $3. Nebraska sold 1,200 on Friday, 26,600, which is light for them for the week, with most of the sales being sold in Iowa. But live sales in Nebraska on Friday from 190 to 192. And in the Northern Plains, cattle sold $2 to $4 higher, from 189 to 192 mostly, and 2 to 4 higher from 298 to $3 dressed. Now Kansas and Texas, the Southern Plains, their market was straight up $2 higher, all at 190. Kansas sold another 100 head or so, only 8,100 head for the week. And that was Friday sales. Texas sold another 200 on Friday, only 4,200 for the week. Box beef cutout values gained good ground again. Choice cuts, your weighted average for all of last week's sales up 449 at 322.33. That was a good price there, and that's your weighted average on all of last week's choice sales. Your late Friday sales were very near that at 322.24. Select sales on your weighted average last week was 298 higher than the previous week's weighted average at 295.24. Your late Friday sales on selects very near to that weighted average at 295.08. Your choice select spread just over $27. We're seeing that spread out pretty good because of the holiday interest, and all of that based on 672 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter came on strong late in the week, Most impressive kill we've had for quite a while. 623,000 estimated slaughter on cattle last week. That's 15,000 more than the previous week. Still 12,000 less than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer running from 7 to 899 pounds, the weighted average on all of those, was down 90 cents for the week at 248.18. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was down about a little bit more than that for the week at 249.09, and you're thinking, I thought these feeders sold higher last week. They did. Cash feeders in your sale barn were steady to $2 higher, but we've got more and more big calves sneaking into the index because they're weighing over 700 pounds. That's pulling it down a little bit. And also we're seeing some of the best demand for feeders on cattle weighing heavier than your index up in your 9 and 10 weight cattle. So that's a reason why we're not seeing your index trend for the week the same as what your cash trend was in your sale barns. But like I said, your cash feeders sold steady to $2 higher. Now calves were very uneven and mostly lower earlier in the week. Now they came on strong later in the week, and then your highest sales all week were on Friday and Saturday, especially late Friday and on Saturday after the cattle on feed report come out, and we saw there was going to be no damage there. But awfully good markets, especially up in your farmer feeder region, like I told you earlier. Look at your prices out of a special sale at Gordon, Nebraska, Gordon Livestock there. Tell you what, that's a newly signed on DVAuction broadcaster. Get on and watch their sales. Get registered and bid their sales. They got some of the best cattle in the world right there around Gordon, Nebraska, and they sell them well there. And they do a good job, and they had a Saturday special there. And look at these big bunches of steer calves weighing in a range from 475 to 575 pounds, and these would be the fanciest cattle you've ever seen, bringing from 315 to 347. And I thought that was impressive on as many big bunches of calves you see right there in Gordon, Nebraska. How about my buddy Justin Tupper up there at St. Ange Livestock, St. Ange, South Dakota? They had around 8,000 on Friday. Look at these light calves and what they'll bring. 52 steer calves, peewees, weighed 410 pounds, bring 391. Woo! I bet we bumped $4 on some cattle weighing in the fours this week, and that'll be a first time for a long time, guys. How about Fort Pierre Livestock Auction, Fort Pierre, South Dakota? 110 steers, weighed 501 at 350. Now that's the apex. That's as much as you can get for a load or a big string of 500-pound steers is 350. That's the extreme top. Don't be thinking yours are going to bring that. I mean, that's a wing and a prayer, but that's what you're shooting for. So that's a good test of the market right there. John Shaven gave me the heads up out of Dunlap, Iowa, Dunlap Livestock Auction on Friday. They sold 110, and the secret word here is backgrounded steers. Backgrounded in a lot, not off grass. 110 backgrounded steers, weighed 904 and bring 256 and a quarter. Wow. How about a market I've never talked about before, I've never heard of before. But I had a Feeder Flash gang member in the ownership there in Sutton, Nebraska at Sutton Livestock, and we would love to do some business with you guys. Get a hold of us. We'll make you bigger. We'll make you a household name. But in Sutton, Nebraska, they sold 69 steers, weighed 866 at 264.40. Now I'm going to give you the most impressive quotes that I heard anywhere all of last week, especially late last week and over the weekend. They are your Macrocin no BS top quotes for the day. I couldn't pick one, so I just have to give you both, and good luck to you if you can figure out which one's the highest or most impressive. Come out of Erickson, Nebraska. It was 90 steer calves, weighed 607, and bring $3.30 on Saturday, or 60 steers, grass steers, weighed 975 and bring $2.60 and a quarter. Your choice. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.